Premier Doug Ford held a news conference in Etobicoke. That was this morning.
And he was asked about reports of his government issuing 18 ministerial zoning orders to developers who were guests at his daughter's wedding.
What the MZOs that we issued to municipalities, and by the way, that asked for the MZOs, over 234,000 people have a roof over their heads. Over 5,000 seniors have long-term care homes now because of the MZO. It created 150,000 jobs. And as long as the municipalities keep sending us a request for MZOs, we're going to continue accelerating the permit process.
And for more on this and reaction, we're joined by provincial opposition leader Marit Stiles. Ms. Stiles, thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be here.
So you've accused the Premier of handing out MZOs to wealthy developer friends, as you put it yesterday at Queen's Park. You say the NDP did some digging. Walk us through your findings.
Right. Well, we compared the MZOs and additional MZOs that we've been talking about to folks who had, for example, attended the Premier's daughter's wedding reception, and found that just based on those, 4 developers alone, there were 18 MZOs that have been issued by the Premier and this government. And that's more by quite a long shot than the entire term of the previous government. They, I think, issued 15 in the entire term. So there's something wrong there. The same people who have ties to the Conservative government and Premier Ford continue to pop up over and over again with these special favors being done for them, and they're making billions off of it.
Along those lines, we're talking about thousands and thousands of pages that are coming to light. What's standing out to you about all of this?
Well, I think what's really clear, again, 7,000 pages of new evidence that was emerged yesterday that shows very clearly through internal government emails that all roads lead to the Premier. It's clear that it was political staff, not civil servants, directing land use against the advice, in fact, of the experts out there. And over again, what we see is this direct line to the Premier. We also found evidence. The Premier has said over and over again that he didn't know anything about these Greenbelt changes until 2022. And he's denied that he was having meetings with developers like Sergio Mancha about removing his land from the Greenbelt. But we have evidence now in these emails and documents that the Premier, in fact, did meet with Mr. Mancha back in 2021, in fact. And so the Premier doesn't, remember that. Well, that's awfully convenient. Because it's pretty clear that that was what was directing the decisions of the government.
The Ford government has already announced that it is reversing course on this front. And today the Premier said that he did not instruct staff to include developer-owned lands and expansions of urban boundaries. And he insisted that he is just focused on building more housing in this province. How do you respond to that?
Again, I think this defies belief. Right? The Premier keeps saying he won't even answer questions when we asked him in the legislature today, and when reporters asked him whether or not he misled the Integrity Commissioner when he was being interviewed by the Integrity Commissioner. His testimony with the Integrity Commissioner is at complete odds with what we've learned here in these 7,000 pages. We have Premier's office staff specifically saying the Premier needs to stop calling Mr. Mancha. So the Premier is not being truthful, I would say, with the people of this province. And accountability lies with him. We have a government that can't get anything actually done because they're mired in controversy. The RCMP is criminally investigating them. We need the Premier to be honest with the people of Ontario and stop trying to deflect and distract. I don't think people are buying it, and we in the official opposition NDP certainly aren't. Okay,
and with all due respect, the land is being put back into the Greenbelt. What consequences, could Ford face? And I asked that with saying, why not just drop it and, we move on to other issues?
Well, I think that the problem is that there's this scandal and this cloud over this government right now, right? It really casts a shadow over everything that the government does. So when the government is making decisions about land use, when the government is making decisions about, procurement, when the government is making decisions about big transit projects or hospitals being built or any of these things, people are going to be asking the same questions. Who's really benefiting here? And until we get some answers, then the rest of it is just, they're just deflecting. So I think, it's pretty clear that this goes, again, right to the top. All the roads lead to the premier. So the premier himself needs to be accountable. I will also say that it's very clear, once again, based on these documents, that cabinet was being briefed on some of this quite early on. So what is the cabinet not coming clear? That means all of those ministers. Why are they continuing to back the premier in all of this? And I would say, he has to be very careful here, because the people of Ontario have lost complete trust in his government.
I'm running out of time here, but very quickly, Ms. Stiles, I do want to ask you, you filed complaints with the Integrity Commissioner on the government's handling of the Greenbelt scandal, if we can call it that now. When it comes to this, what action are you willing to take? How far are you willing to go here?
Yeah, we have a number of other requests in to the Auditor General, the Integrity Commissioner. Of course, this casts also a bit of a shadow over other big projects like the government's plans for Ontario Place. So we've asked the Auditor General to look into that. We have the Integrity Commissioner also looking at a number of pieces, and we're going to keep digging. The Premier could end all of this by just coming clean. He could share some of the records that we've been all asking for. If he has nothing to hide, why not?
Okay, we'll leave it there. Provincial Opposition Leader Marit Stiles, thanks so much for your time.